Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here once again with another episode of the Writer's Thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in, stopping by, and hanging out. I've been absolutely having a blast with these, interviewing various people. And today we have my good buddy J-Robbed, as we like to say when he's stealing all our stuff in Warzone. But how you doing, my man? How's life? What's going on?
Hey man, life is good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. Um, Man, yeah, you just call me J-Rob. My tag is JRobles. So for those that have always called me Robles, listen, it's Robles. All right, get it right. Come on now.
I
But
had
nah,
I had Kage on last week, and it's so great how many side names and nicknames you earn over the course of like interacting with various friends and stuff. So
hmm
when introducing her, I was like, not Cage, not Kate, Kage, and it's just the same thing with you, man. It's so funny how that kind of starts as one thing and just kind of escalates elsewhere with the various nicknames.
oh yeah, and it's the best when you like rate someone on Twitch. We're both streamers, so if you rate someone and then like they don't know you very well and then they just say it wrong, it's like whatever. It's just funny.
Yeah. That's how I feel as well. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, like your interests and whatnot, and also where they can find you, your socials, all that kind of stuff. Plug yourself.
Yeah, awesome. So, like I said, my name is JRobles44. That is on Twitch, on Twitter. I stream in the afternoons and sometimes in the evenings as well. And that's Monday through Friday. So, that's usually what I'm doing is streaming video games. And now we have a podcast that we're working on. And so we're excited. But if you want to find me, again, Twitch and Twitter, JRobles44. And, and yeah.
All right, man. Nice. Yeah. So J Rob and I have got to know each other pretty well recently, mostly because we've been playing a lot of the same games, and we're both very similar in that we play a wide variety of games. You'll find us on Warzone, you'll find us on Destiny, on I know you play Hunt and some other stuff, like just so
Mhm.
many different games. And that's something I wanted to really talk about because I feel like people pigeonhole themselves into just one or two games and they start playing and then they're like, all right, well, this is all we got. This is the what I'm going to play. And then they get sick of it. They get disgruntled. What do you enjoy most about a variety gaming?
Variety gaming, it keeps it fresh. Like that's the main thing. You can you can tell when someone's not having fun, and I feel like looking back at my streams, seeing if I wanted to just play Destiny all the time. And then I saw myself not enjoying Destiny while streaming. And it's because like I just like different things. I like to change it up. So, like you said, been playing a lot of Hunt Showdown lately. Um, a lot like all the battle royales. Basically, I'll switch them out, and then I just want to play with friends as well. So,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, like you said, they pigeonhole themselves, and I almost did that with Destiny too. But I also want to have a good time, and I can't do that myself personally.
I'm the same way, and yeah, gaming with friends is such a huge thing. The other thing I found is that I started off major into Destiny as well, and getting away from it and playing other games, one, it gives you a kind of a fresh look at Destiny, and you can enjoy all the things it does well even more. And
hmm
two, long term, you can keep playing it and never get sick of it. Like if I take a month break and I come back, I'm like, wow, I forgot how good Destiny can feel at times. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, and exactly like you said, you take for granted because Destiny 2, it gets a lot of love, it gets a lot of hate.
Yeah.
The thing about Destiny 2, it feels great. The gameplay feels so great, and I think oftentimes like Destiny players take that for granted. So like playing variety, it's like, man, this gunplay just is off. It doesn't feel. And then you go play Destiny, it's like, oh, this is where it's at. So it's like little things like that that you're grateful for in the Destiny series.
Not only that, but you don't get sick of the meta because I feel like with any PvP game, any game in general, like you are seeing when something is just overpowered and you just see it all the time, it gets so stale. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally really enjoy Destiny PvP because I constantly use different things, but also I don't play to the point where I'm like, I hate this gun so much I don't want to pick up this game forever. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's
Yeah.
people that have those guns, those metas that they just hate so much, but they keep playing for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because like you talking about that, it just brings up my trials experience. Like every time I go into trials, there's always like that one weapon that you're just like, if I face another team that is using the arbalist or like that one weapon that is just really good, like it gets annoying. But it is good to switch it up. Like I said, if you're not having fun, like switch it up a little bit. Switch out from stasis, y'all. Go use some other subclasses. Come on.
Oh man, I was playing Mayhem today, and I was using Sentinel Titan, and I went on a nice little 9 streak in Mayhem, which is feels so good, and being
Okay.
able to dodge away from stasis with it and whatnot just was it. That is more satisfying to me than fragging out, being the top of leaderboard, but using the full meta loadout. That kind of feels less skillful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I can see too, like you being also a YouTube content creator, your YouTube video is going to look so much different than everyone that's using the meta and using the same weapon. Like that's helps you stand out in a different way, and then still dominating because I've seen your gameplay, still dominating using the other stuff that no one else is using.
I appreciate that. I don't know if dominating is always the thing, but that's the other thing. So one of the things that we found when we play together, right? No matter what the game is, we can always play well. Sometimes we get destroyed, but that's going to happen in any game.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we can always play well, keep positive attitude, and roast each other a little bit, but not take it so seriously that it's not going to be fun. So I feel like that's what more folks should be in. Like if you're going to talk trash, make it lighthearted, make it fun. But if you're full sweats all the time, it just can. I think it just eventually will wear you down.
Yeah, and that's goes back to the other thing. Like, is this the type of person or content creator that you want to portray? Is when you're playing, you're just yelling at your teammates, but it's not very. It's yelling in a way that can kind of mess up the cohesion of that group.
Yeah.
It's a little different than it being genuine and like you actually being close friends, and you're just like laughing, or you throw a one liner to the person saying it, and it's just like you just go back and forth. I think that's where it's really fun.
Oh, absolutely. That's my favorite times in gaming, honestly. Whether it's you or Ben or Bacon's, those are the folks that I play with a lot. It's so much fun to just kind of rib each other a little bit, but still have good games and know that nobody's going to get too upset about it or frustrated because we're just, it's lighthearted. Like we all know, none of us are professional gamers. We're just trying to have a good
Exactly.
time. You know what I'm saying? Be a little entertaining. So I feel that for sure. What
It's funny, like
Go ahead.
like one last thing on that. It's just I know like how competitive we are as
Yes.
well. Like even though we're not the best players, like we're not in esports or anything, we're still super competitive, and like you definitely hear that coming out as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Not saying people don't get frustrated, but like at the end of the day, when the round is over, when our session is over, we're done playing, we're all cool. No one's gonna get mad, stay mad at each other or whatever. And yeah, that 100%, like being competitive, but also being able to take a step back and be like, all right, we had a good time here overall, even if you left me to die by myself one too many times. So, what of the variety games? I know you play a lot of different things. Is there anything coming out this year that you're really stoked for, or that looks like it's going to be right up your alley?
So, well, first off, I want to get a new console. I'm still playing on the PS4, and so
Tell me about
I'm
it.
hoping to get my hands on a PS5 or a nice PC. But I'm it's looking like the PS5. But there's a few games I'm excited about. You got Back for Blood that's coming out. I'm a
Yep.
big Left 4 Dead fan, and so like that genre and just having 3 other buds to go shoot zombies and run, like that's just
Always a good time.
always a good time, right? Some other things like Rust has really hit the scene lately. I mean, the game's been out for a while, but I'm pretty excited to get that type of game on console. So I know later on this year, Rust is coming out on console. I've never really been a survival game player, but like I said, I like to play different things. I want to play different games, and so Rust is kind of on my radar that I'm like seeing when it's going to come on console. Big Mass Effect fan, so Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Even though I've played those games before, I think it'll be awesome to see like how it's remade. The graphics are better, and maybe like playing it because I'm sure you know about the Mass Effect, but playing that game like you can make so many different decisions. So just playing it again, maybe like a different way than how I played years ago, I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing stuff like that. I'm a big fan of BioWare. I played all the Dragon Age games, but I've never actually played Mass Effect. So I'll probably hop into that series as well. I love the split narrative and choosing your own path in games for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was gonna say too, I'm excited for any new Destiny content. I know probably the seasons. I'm still excited for the seasons coming out, but like really waiting for that next expansion. I'm excited.
Yeah, the expansions are always great. I feel like a lot of people are not fans of the drip feed content, and I understand that, but also I'm like, if you're gonna get the same amount of content and put it all at the beginning in September or November, whenever the release drops, by the new year, no one's going to be playing the game anymore. So that's the hard part, right? Is like you want to keep people coming back. It's supposed to be an ongoing live service game, but if you pack all the content in at one time, you're probably not going to get that. And I'm with you on that 100% as far as waiting for the big DLC, but I like the fact that I can, with Destiny, I can be away for a while and then come back, and then you get that new quest that just feels really cool, or a new exotic that you can try out. That's what I always like to come back to. But a couple games that I think that I'm interested in, I want to get your thoughts on. First off, Outriders, that's coming out. You got a demo next month. Everyone's comparing it to a Destiny-like, but it looks more like Gears of War to me, because it's third person. It's not an ongoing game. But it's got like character builds and stuff like that. I'll definitely be checking out that demo in February, and then it comes out in May, I believe.
Okay, yeah. Actually, looking on Twitter today, I was seeing a lot of stuff on Outriders. I don't know if they released something or what, but I saw a lot of that today. So you mentioned it's not an ongoing game. Is it just like a one big game, or
I feel like it's gonna be more like Borderlands than it is Destiny, and that it's not gonna be like a living world. It's gonna be like contained. You can play co-op. There's gonna be end game stuff, but it's not like a living MMO type world. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay, I haven't seen the gameplay, but you just saying Gears of War, I can kind of imagine what that's like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, but we'll have to wait and see and get our hands on the demo. And then just today, they announced that the Magic Legends is coming to beta on PC, and then probably, I don't know if it's actually getting released this year, but I'm imagining if it's on the beta is in May, it'll release by the end of the year. And if you don't know, Magic Legends is a Diablo-style Magic the Gathering game, and I want Diablo 4, I want Diablo 2 Remastered, which is supposed to be coming out, which they're working on. I want a game like that to really dive in from, because I've always been late to the party with those games. So I want to come in at the ground floor with one of them. And Magic Legends looks like it might be a thing that I'm ready for. So
I'm gonna have to look into that, because as soon as you said Magic Legends, my mind immediately went to Magic the Gathering, like a different card game, like with new cards or something. But that actually sounds really dope. So I'm gonna have to look into that.
Well, there's so much history with the Magic the Gathering universe. There's so much like lore and whatnot. And I guess you start off as a planeswalker, and you're gonna jump in, and it's gonna be Diablo style, top down. If the loot and the end game is good, that game could be game of the year potential for sure.
That sounds awesome. Because, like you said, I am excited for Diablo 4. Like I said, I've been late to the party as well. So jumping right in, like in both of these games, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I want more new experiences like that. Like I've been waiting for a new MMO that I can jump in on the ground floor that really I take off with. And I find like a crew that because I remember going back to Destiny 1, that's more of an MMO light, but it's the same concept in that I found groups of people to play with. And every time I was on, I had folks to run whatever activity, and it was so much fun. And just the exploration, how new and fresh it was. I want something like that, and I'm hopeful that we get something like that this year as well.
That'd be really nice, especially I know like the really good MMOs are PC, so it's like hopefully with the new generation of consoles, PS5, the Xbox Series X, like we can get that MMO for like us console players. That'd be really neat.
Yeah, 100%. I am with you on that because I'm also a console pleb. So we having the PS5 now hopefully allows that gap to be closed. And we're seeing where like League of Legends is coming out with a game on console. We've got other stuff like that are like games that are traditional PC games. Genshin Impact was one of the first ones recently that it's a mobile game, but it came to PC and console, and it feels like a console game, even though you can tell it was designed for mobile or PC instead. You know what I'm saying? It still feels really good on console, which is nice.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
All right. Well, staying kind of in the Destiny community, and I know that's something we both have a lot in common, so you'll hear about it a lot from us today. But there's been a lot of back and forth with a company called GamerSups. They're a energy supplement company, and I'm not gonna throw them under the bus or anything, but I wanted to bring up something that I've been thinking about and kind of marinating on for a long time, and that's sponsorships, partnerships, affiliations with these companies. And you see it. You see from grip companies to those like chairs to PC companies to peripheral companies and these energy supplements. And there's all these different sponsorships and whatever. But like a lot of times it feels like you are just a marketing potential for these companies and you're not getting in return what I think you could be getting out. And especially as a smaller to mid-tier creator who you're like, I don't have many options, so what am I going to do? What do you think about that? I know you're probably going to be looking at sponsorships at some point. So what are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's crazy because like starting off on Twitch and then like creating your social media pages, right? You have your Twitter linked all together. And it's crazy. Like a lot of you probably notice is as soon as you start creating those things, these random people just start sending you messages. It might have died down lately, but man, I remember when I first made a Twitter account and then I said I streamed on Twitch. These random direct messages always coming in like, hey, we can sponsor you. We're a t-shirt company, or like all these different companies. And it, you know, for someone just starting out, if you don't know better, and if you're younger and you don't know how this really works, like you're like, oh yeah, let me jump on this opportunity. This can help get my name out there. But it's so crazy. I heard a quote from a writer. She now writes for games, but she was in the game industry. Alana Pierce. She said this side of the industry can be very predatory. And when I read that, I was like, it's so very true. Like you have to be careful. As far as like all these people trying to, because I wouldn't necessarily say all of them are just trying to use you. Some of them are definitely just trying to use you just to get their name out there. And that's like where you have to do research. You have to, okay, what company are you? Read their Twitter, if you know a streamer who's maybe partnered with them, like ask them in a DM, like, hey, how do they treat you? Like, I think you can't just say, yeah, I'll go do that. And you know, everything's going to be fine and savvy from there because more likely than not, it's not going to be.
Yeah, I'm with that 100% because I was in that same boat. It still happens a lot on Instagram. That's where it's bad. Every time I make a post and use a certain hashtag on Instagram, check DMs. That's all the comments will be, check DMs. It's like, no, I'm not checking my DMs for some company. It's like, I love, like, they always talk about collaboration. I would love to collaborate with things and have these companies and send me the merch and I will wear it on stream. I'll take pictures of it. I'll post it on my Instagram. But more often than not, they're like, you can make 5% of every sale that happens, but you won't get paid out until you make at least $100, and there's also some other qualifiers with regards to that. And that's the biggest problem is like people won't look at the details. So when they're getting these offers, you're like, oh, I can sell $100 worth, no problem. But then when you break it down and you look at it, you're like, oh, maybe not. That's a lot. There's a lot of extracurriculars you got to follow before you actually make any money. And at the end of the day, money is not going to be everything, especially if you're a smaller mid-tier creator who's kind of growing. But you want to be rewarded for what you're doing. If I'm advertising for a company and I'm not getting anything in return, what's the point? If I'm telling people to go buy your product and I don't get any, they're like, oh, exposure. Oh my goodness, getting paid in exposure. That is the thing that I know artists deal with that a lot, but overall, it's just such a shame that these companies will go this route, and then people will just eat it up. They'll all dive in on these companies and just be like, okay, I'm going to sign up. And not some people are going to have good experiences, but unfortunately, more often than not, that isn't the case.
Yeah, and you brought up the gamer subs and kind of what happened in that situation. That's a little different because the person who kind of called them out for what had happened, that they were actually an artist and they had made an artist, and so they were using this. Now, the one thing I saw on this thread, the first thing, I think it got to like the first or second page on that thread, was she had a contract, but then that contract became null and void. Like there wasn't a contract after that person left, the person who was like talking to her with this agreement. And so that right there kind of struck me like you have to have a contract. If especially as an artist, like if you are helping this company, you're doing work for this company to sell a product that you like helped make and like had sketches and things like that, you need to have a contract. And I know like in this industry, getting a lawyer, like that's easier said than done. Like people say a lot, you need to get a lawyer.
Yeah.
And that is, I agree, but it's not that easy just to like, oh yeah, I'm a streamer, I need a lawyer. Like it's not that easy. But as far as like, just be smart about it. And if a company is contacting you, it's like, okay, let's go like a yearly contract. What do you think I'll get paid this year? What kind of work do you want done? Like, and have that back and forth talk and make sure it's like in writing as well.
Yeah. Well, I posted a full thread on the lawyer issue because I used to be a paralegal, so I'm very familiar. And there's a lot of problems with getting a lawyer. Cost, them not taking the case because even though you're in the right, they still might not win a court case. That's not how court works. That's not how laws are written. So unfortunately, that's everyone wants to point to lawyers, but the court of public opinion can sometimes sway more than an attorney can. If a company gets a lot of backlash for potentially problematic practices, they are more likely to change. And in her case, you might not get the resolution that you want necessarily, but if other people don't have to go through the same thing as you in the future, that's a win. If you let other people that are close to you, like I know if I was friends with somebody and they got screwed over by a company or they thought they got screwed over by a company, I would want to know because I wouldn't want to work with that company. So when somebody posts something like this, it's not for clout. It's not for, I think everyone wants to say, folks are quick to defend the company or attack the company or whatever, instead of taking it as a more educational experience for everybody. But the other problem that we often see is a lot of the creators when they're first starting out are 18, 19, 20, 22, never had independent job, never had own their own business, never had to sign contracts, all that kind of stuff. So they're just not in a position, there's no education on how they can help them make the right decision because you can't get an agent when you're at 10, 15 average viewers or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely a tough one.
Yeah. And I just want to say that person who made that thread shared all the information that she had. she's a freaking professional. The way she handled that situation and just reading the text like she was having with these companies, man, she's a freaking professional. I know a lot of other content creators who would not have had that professionalism when writing back to this company. So, kudos to her. Awesome job. And I wish her all the best.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And like I said, I don't want to harp too much on the one situation. I feel like this is just more of an opportunity to learn in general because everyone, the problem is that in order to make more content, right? Like you have the same issue that I would have at times is that in order to make as much content as we would like, you don't want to be specifically out for the money, but you need to bring something in order to expand that, whether it's to buy better equipment, whether it's to be able to afford to spend more time. Like I know I own my own business. So it's like, if I take time away from my business to make content, eventually, like there's only so much I can do before people are like, hey, keep doing this, keep doing this. And I'm like, I would love to, but I need to eat. I need a roof over my head. Mm-hmm. So like sponsorships are a way to expand your income and provide a little bit like, oh, I can get better games. I can get a better PC, whatever. But unfortunately, oftentimes, especially in the beginning, it's not worth it. And I don't think that'll change anytime soon as these companies keep popping up that are potentially going to take advantage of folks.
Yeah, and I think too, like when you're just starting out, you're just kind of figuring out who you want to be as a content creator. So you really don't know which direction you want to go necessarily, or what type of, are you going to be like a type of Dr. Disrespect type of person? Or are you going to be more chill? Like you're still figuring that out where you're like, not spiel, but I don't know, just who you are as a content creator. And so I think that's very important starting off, you figuring that out, see what kind of audience you have, and then you can start saying, oh, that brand would actually fit really well with my community and things like that.
100%. And that's the other thing is, if you sit back, because everyone wants to jump on the hype train when you see a company that's doing really well and everybody seems to like them. But if you take a step back and you watch for a while, oftentimes you can be like, instead of jumping into that sponsorship, if you look at it from the outside and be like, okay, like G Fuel is an example. Everyone loves G Fuel, but they've had a lot of problematic instances pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. So if you look at that from the outside, you're like, do I want to be loyal to that brand when they've had some things happen I'm not super thrilled with? Whereas if I jump in and I'm all in right from the very beginning, now I almost have to be, otherwise I'm losing out on this sponsorship, I'm losing this. People might abandon me because I was all in on G Fuel and then they get screwed over or something. So it's tough, and you definitely have to do your due diligence.
That is a tough part. Like if the company itself screws up and you're like under contract with them, that I could imagine that's a tough situation to be in.
No, exactly. Because you're like, you want to be honest, but also you can't burn bridges or violate your contract if you have one either. So it's definitely tough. And I think it's something that hopefully improves with time. I don't think a union is something that will ever happen for streamers or anything of that nature, but there needs to be better education with this stuff and better involvement from folks who know and can guide streamers, content creators in a way that's so they're not getting taken advantage of consistently,
Yeah, and I liked what you said, because I actually did see that thread that you were discussing with someone on Twitter about being a paralegal and like things as far as the education system, not only public schools and whatnot, but in the streaming world, that same education there. So I really liked what you had to say on that topic.
I appreciate that, and a lot of it comes down to me feeling like when folks are sent to college, when kids are sent to and they're starting streaming and content creation, or they start their own business, we're not taught a lot of things, like the difference in filing taxes from a 1099 or a W-2, the difference in health insurance and benefits from having a full-time job at a company versus being independent, the difference in marketing, like when you own your own business as a streamer or whatever, your marketing firm, your benefits coordinator, you're all those things all tied into one. And I think it's got to be something that folks should be educated on early on. Not everybody's going to be interested in it, but a one semester class on small business ownership or something like that, either in high school or after they leave it, when they get into like a college introductory class or something like that, I feel like would be more helpful than not enough people take advantage of stuff like that.
No, I 100% agree with you. It's crazy how much people don't know about finances or all of that jazz when that's what they should have learned going into, adulthood. Those things are super important, and it's just something we don't have right now.
Yeah. And I think some folks take for granted when you have a family who's been to college or who's owned their business or has those legs up, they will pass on that knowledge a lot of times. But if you have a family who's been working construction or done something that doesn't involve ownership of a business, or if say they've worked at a 9-to-5 job their entire life, but they didn't really have to go to college, they didn't have to step outside their comfort zone. Now that next generation is going to be left on their own because the school system doesn't help out. The parents, if they don't help out, now they're kind of jumping in, and they got to make all these decisions at 18 to 22 years old when they should be getting more guidance and more information than they are. I'm very strongly opinionated on that because I feel like too many people are left behind that could be really successful just due to a lack of knowledge and a lack of awareness on where they can go with this information.
No, I totally agree with you. It comes down to like even simple things like credit cards. Like, how do I take care of a credit card without going into debt? It's just like things like that I feel need to be taught at earlier before they, get thrown to the sharks, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 100% all in with you on that. And yeah, we'll see if it ever changes, but I hope it actually trends in the right direction. I think that's something that I'm hopeful folks start talking about more often as the world changes. Now that more people are working from home, more people are possibly doing remote jobs, so maybe their benefits don't translate as well, so they have to get help in one regards or another. But yeah, I'm hopeful, but we'll see. I think we're a long way away from getting into that stuff fixed,
Yeah, no, I agree.
So we'd be a little remiss in not talking about the Super Bowl. I know this is a nerdy kind of podcast, but I'm still a huge sports fan, and I think the crossover between sports and gaming and sports and these sports and anime and these other interests of mine has been so much fun to watch. And now Mike Evans, he's the wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're in the Super Bowl. My hometown here, Tampa, here next week.
Oh, and I forgot about that. So I guess I know who you're rooting for. Okay.
I'm not actually a Tampa fan. I'm a Niners fan. I grew up in California, but I've lived in Tampa for now about 10 years. So I have a lot of friends who are rooting for them. I don't really want to root for Brady though, so I'm not really sure. But also the Chiefs beat my Niners last year, so I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of torn.
Oh,
you can say
man.
that.
He's not even gonna watch it. He's like, nah.
No, I'll watch it, but I'll root for a tie or like whatever. Can both teams lose? Is that possible? I don't know.
I don't think that's possible, but weirder things have happened.
Yeah, but you can't argue with Brady's longevity, and he's definitely the GOAT at this point. As a Niners fan, I've been beating the train of Montana, and you have Rice is the best receiver of all time, in my opinion. But now I think you can't argue about Brady. I think, what is that, 9 or 10 Super Bowls out of his whole career, which is
This is gonna be
obscene,
this is gonna be his 10th one.
which is like he's been to like almost half of his career. He's been to the Super Bowl. Really insane. But
I think the stat was
yeah,
one third of his career. Yeah,
it's
crazy.
freaking crazy. Who do you think is gonna win?
Man, it's hard. You know, I know a lot of people call him the GOAT, Tom Brady, but man, I think Kansas City is just Mahomes is just on another level. He's flashy. He's got all the skills, and they just have that confidence. And I think Kansas City, they're going back to back. Like I love, like Brady's a good player, and I didn't really like his whole career with New England and Belichick. I was not a Patriot fan, but man, it's cool that he's going back with a different team. Like it's like that's kind of a cool narrative, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take it.
They're so fast. It's unreal. Like they have so many skilled players and their quarterback who are just so speedy and it's hard to contain. So I don't know. But transitioning off of that a little bit, I think the crossover with gaming. So at one of the Fortnite Twitch Rivals tournaments, we had Mike Evans, the receiver for the Bucks, play with Nick Merckx in the tournament, and I feel like we're only going to see more of that crossover. We've seen it with music, and T-Pain and Logic are now big streamers on Twitch. We've seen it with gaming or with sports, and so many of these players crossing over. NBA players going to play video games and Warzone and all this kind of stuff. Luke Combs, the musician, he's also been playing Warzone with Twitch streamers. So how much fun has this been that someone as diverse as you and I am, with liking so many different things from video games to sports and all that, now we don't have to have like separate aspects of our life and keep them, you know what I'm saying, in different places, and now they can all come together under one roof, you know?
No, I think it's amazing because back growing up, you know, in our age, you had the negative stereotype of playing video games. You have the people who are like, oh, they like games, they're just sitting in their mom's basement. So I think that narrative has changed over like the last 10 years because gaming, it's mainstream now. Like everyone's playing games. Like you have the most athletic people on earth, like Mike Evans, playing with, you know, Nick Merckx and, you know, the ninjas of the world. And it's like, to say that only the gamers are only, you know, losers is, I think that narrative, like these athletes playing games, has changed that dramatically, because it's like you can't make fun of a Mike Evans or, you know, these MMA players, or you can't make fun of these guys because and calling them nerdy and whatnot, because, you know, you tell that to an MMA guy who plays video games, he's gonna knock you out. So it's just like I'm really, this has really grown the gaming industry. And it, like, growing up for me, like, I'm not the most athletic or like built guy, but I played sports growing up. I played baseball, I played basketball, a little bit of soccer. So it's like, but I also played video games since I was a small kid. So it's like I've always done both. And so now seeing it, to like, it's opening the eyes to more people, like, hey, anyone can play video games. It's not just a boy or girl in their mom's basement.
That's exactly right. And like in high school, I played baseball, basketball, and football. I was big into sports, but as soon as I got home, I was playing video games. I was chilling out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it helped me stay out of trouble a lot too, which was nice and something that is somewhat underrated. But I'm with you, man. And it started with, I mean, it really blew up when Ninja played with Drake. Obviously, that was a turning point. He's not an athlete, but as a mainstream celebrity and someone with a lot of fame and hype, to be able to game on Twitch and blow up the scene, it did amazing things for Ninja's career, and then two, it allowed people from the outside to be like, okay, now I don't have to hide this. This isn't something, like you said, that I had to keep kind of under the rug and not show off, because it's a normal thing. A lot of people play video games, and you don't have to worry about being judged for it, or people saying, "Oh, this loser over here not doing anything. Like, it's just another hobby that anybody can have, and it's been fantastic to see for me.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about it is, like the athletes who are getting paid all this money, there's money in the gaming industry. If you're good enough
Yeah.
and you can hop onto the esports scene, or even, grow an audience, not being that great of a gamer, but, you're funny, you have an attitude. Look at Tim the Tatman. I mean, that guy's hilarious. So if you find your lane, there's money to be made. Now, again, it's very rare. You got to be lucky and, have the right group of people. I mean, keep working hard though. When your time comes, if it comes, be ready. But I was just going to say, as far as the money aspect of it, is in both lanes now, the pro athletes and then the pro gamer. It's really cool to see how much it's evolved.
I actually think there's more money for more, not more money in total, but there's money for more people in gaming. Because you look at folks who are, they get 100 viewers or whatever on Twitch. Some of those people will have 1,000, 2,000 subs,
Yep.
and that's a livable wage. It's not going to be, you're not going to be a millionaire, but imagine 5, 7 years ago, someone telling you, oh, you can earn a basic income just by playing video games. A lot of people would take that in a heartbeat, and you can't really do that with sports. And that's one thing that's been also kind of crazy to see, is that if you just get a general livable wage from gaming, that's a lot more possible than it is in other industries like this. Like, you can't do it with acting, you can't do it with sports and that stuff. So it's a lot more accessible to a lot more people.
Oh yeah, and it's as simple as, you don't have to be the strongest, fastest person. You can just have a mic and be ready to hit record, and hey, more power to you. Go get it.
Yeah. And not only that, if you're smart about it, like, there are ways to, like, you can grow so many different platforms nowadays too, that I feel like there's just so many options to make it, if not a career, something you can sustain for a long time and not feel like you're wasting that time. Like I was saying earlier, it's like there's just so many possibilities, and it's so great to see.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, and for me, it's helped me. Like, I always had my friends who didn't really play video games, and then I had like my other set of friends who we played video games, and we talk about these subjects. But then I had my friends over here, and it's now, as you get older, and I mean, some people get wiser. I feel like some days I get dumber, but
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, don't agree with me there, Joe. I'm just kidding. But it's bringing those two together now feels really cool. Like, I am not ashamed that, yeah, I play video games, or having a conversation with a family member. It's like, and that comes with the thing too, as you get older, you just don't care what people think. And that's really, once you can get to that level, kids, or you just don't care what other people, it's great. It's great. But yeah, like I said, it's really cool for me, always being shy to talk about video games to certain people, just being upfront about it and be like, yeah, I stream as a hobby, sometimes get money for it, and it's what I like to do. I love doing it, so it makes me happy, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel 1,000%, and I'm glad we're on the same page there, because I feel like, especially when you're younger, you can get so caught up and be like, oh, do my friends like this? I have to keep my friend groups different because they have different hobbies. Come to find out, some of your jock friends might have been gamers. Some of your gamer friends might have loved sports, and you just didn't know because you wouldn't cross those paths. But now you can do that and not have to worry.
That's the truth. And it's just funny how big it's gotten, because I don't know why, but something you just said there sparked. We had someone come to fix some plumbing issues we were having, and then just these people, like two of them that had come over within a week span, like talking about video games. It's just like, that wouldn't happen years ago, where people just bring up like video games, and now it's just everywhere. Like, everyone's playing games. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it, and it's hopefully it only gets bigger and better from here. That's the hope. So, something I mentioned that I wanted to bring up, I didn't we didn't talk about this pre-show, but it's a news article that just blew up today or yesterday or something like that, and it was Ninja talking about being parents being responsible for kids and being responsible for teaching them about Black Lives Matter and these social justice reform issues and whatnot, which I think is right. But also, the headline was a little clickbaity. I don't know if you happened to read the article, but basically it boiled down to him saying, it's not my job to educate the kids. And so it kind of got spun as he doesn't want to talk about these issues when he does, like he has on stream. He's raised money for different organizations, all that kind of stuff. So the headline got twisted a little bit, but I know you're somebody who would definitely, and I've seen it through charity streaming and that stuff, use your platform for good, for positivity. What do you think the balance is of talking about things on stream that are important issues versus keeping it lighthearted and having a good time and being entertaining and not trying to bring people down? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I did see, I didn't read the article, but I saw that it was blowing up today, and it was really clickbaity just from seeing some responses from like some of Ninja's friends, King Richard, saying, hey, he's talked to me personally, like he's spoken on racism, and it's like Ninja is such a big name now, and so I'm sure that helped that news article, whatever, get some clout or get some clicks, whatever.
Yeah.
But Ninja's so big now, like he has so many different audiences he has to cater to. Like I can kind of see where he's coming from, where it's not my job to now, if say something happens and he wants to speak on it, I feel like Ninja is on the front lines, like ready to talk about it when something goes down.
Yeah.
But as far as him, that's like the one thing he's gonna do. That's not. I don't think that's his job. He's an entertainer. He's on Twitch. What he says matters. So if something does go down and he's on the offense or defense, he's on one side or the other, I think that's important, because then you know who he is as a person and what he really cares about. But as far as him holding like a seminar every day on this, like he's kind of right in the fact that, hey, you parents need to be having these conversations with your children. Like I can't be the only one in those kids' ears. Like if your kids are constantly in my stream and that's it, and then you don't communicate with your children, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
So,
well, I feel like it comes down to the over-reliance of parents, some parents, on teachers to be the whole educators and then the entertainers. You look at them just putting a screen in front of their kid and letting them get distracted for hours on end. And so now you're letting somebody else imprint their morals, their values, or lack thereof. And so of all the people that gets flack for this, I always find it funny that it's Ninja. I know why, because he's so famous. But there's so many more problematic people who are saying things that are like, that get a lot of attention from kids. And you're like, wow, that person is influencing the next generation and they have no business. Whereas Ninja has done a lot of great things, and I feel like he gets unnecessary flack because he's at the top of the mountain.
Yeah. And I mean, let's not act like Ninja's perfect, because he's not.
Of course not.
He's said some things too there where it's like I just kind of raise an eyebrow like,
Of course. But he's also, I mean, that's going to happen with anybody.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a man, and men and women aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. JoPa's not perfect. I know he doesn't want to hear this. You're not perfect, JoPa.
It's true. It's true. But the funniest situation, it wasn't funny for him, but the most mind-blowing situation for me that I've seen was Dr. Lupo catching flack for
oh my gosh.
apparently there was a black lady who said that his silence on Twitter meant he was being performative with his Black Lives Matter outreach earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't check his streams or anything like that, and a lot of people rushed to his defense to say, no, he has been helping out on camera a lot and stuff like that. But because someone only saw that one platform of his, they called him out. The problem escalated because he quote tweeted, and so one of the major issues you have when you have such a huge platform is you're gonna have a abnormal amount of trolls in your following, no matter what you do. Whether you're Tim the Tap Man, who really doesn't speak on a lot of issues like that, whether you're Dr. Lupo, who does crazy things for charity all the time, really tries to stand up for people when he can, and everyone in between. If you have that big of a following, you're going to have some people who are going to be shitty. So anytime you quote tweet somebody or expose them to the masses for maybe a opinion that isn't great, but they shouldn't be like dragged over, it's just more of like a conversation that could happen. That's where it kind of escalates.
And I think Dr. Lupo realized that.
Yes.
when he subtweeted it and then gave his response, he realized that, hey, the people who you know how Twitch is, they will stick up for whoever they're following or watching to like the death.
Yeah.
And they're just that hardcore. And now, back to the lady who said that, she had a right to say that. She's an activist. She's on the front lines out there, trying to make a change. And man, that's brave, of her. And, Dr. Lupo, he had to defend himself. He's, saying, I would be out there, but, my wife has Lyme disease.
Yeah.
She, not just she, but people have to realize that every person is different. Every person is dealing with their own crap.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that racism is on the bottom of the list. Racism, I wish people would just understand, it does not matter the color of skin. I don't know how hard that is for people to comprehend. The fact that they can't comprehend that and think differently because of color blows my freaking mind. That's another topic to get into.
Yeah.
But as far as, you said, the mass followings and Dr. Lupo, he regretted, I think, doing that. And then he also had a talk he had some of his African-American friends with him, and they just had a conversation. And I thought that was really cool. And he just opened up hey, guys, am I not doing enough? What can I do that won't put my family in danger? And so I thought that was really cool of him.
That's the thing that's missing a lot right now, is that when we see these Twitter storms, and this kind of is coming full circle with the gamer stuff, we see these Twitter storms, and everyone's pointing fingers, everyone's going after each other, and calling each other out, right? And in her case, if she had approached it in a better way, it probably doesn't get handled like it is. If then Lupo doesn't quote tweet her, it probably gets handled in a different way. Luckily, he used it as an educational experience, and I feel like that's what more folks should do. But unfortunately, because some of these big creators, and there's a lot of examples, they have these people that will follow them and say they're right no matter what they do. You look at, this is going to get a little political, but when Trump said he could shoot someone in the middle of New York City and get away with it, and people would still follow him, that's how it feels with some of these creators, right?
Wait, he said that?
Yeah. He was. He said he was joking, but that's not.
They take that to heart.
That's not far from the truth, though, in that these creators could do something. They could say the N-word. They could do this, that, and the other. And some people will defend them no matter what. And I think that's a huge problem, because there's a lot of these people who are problematic. And we saw it in the Destiny community with the Bomb Squad kittens. And they got exposed for having all kinds of morality issues with regards to like treating females wrong,
Yeah.
sexual assault problems, and that kind of stuff. And it's like I know Luminosity was one of the guys, and he was like, Lumi was basically like, at the time, I was so cocky because I was getting just constant yes people talking to you, and it's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is if you get that big of a following, it's going to make your personality what it is times 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're a toxic person in general, you're going to be far more toxic when you got a bunch of people telling you how great you are because you're being toxic.
Oh yeah, man. That's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, normally we don't go this deep on the podcast. It's kind of lighthearted, but I felt like there's been a lot of serious topics in the news lately, and it's almost like I feel like I was like faking it to not talk about it at all, you know?
Yeah, and it's really hard because, like for me, and I've had this conversation with you just while gaming. We have when me and Jopa are gaming, I feel like we are asking questions like to each other. We're trying to understand not just each other, but this whole content creation thing as a whole. And I remember talking to you and kind of lost my train of thought here. We were talking about how you're more of a person that like you kind of like to debate, like you like to get in those arguments. And I told you, like, for me, I'm not that type of person. So for me, it's more tough to like have that conversation, like as far as like on Twitch or wherever you're streaming or whatnot, however you're doing it. But it's like, for me, I was like, I have to push myself to say and have something to stand on and have something that your community that your community knows where you are on that. Like, they don't have to ask questions like, well, I don't know, he hasn't said anything on this. And because sometimes not saying anything is more hurtful than if you do say something.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, that people are different in that aspect, but you have to stand for something.
Yeah. Everyone's going to have different levels of how vocal or not vocal they are. But you're right in that sometimes the silence speaks volumes. And especially when you have a community and you not only you might not be toxic yourself, or you might not think a certain way yourself. But if you are silent and your community in your chat, in your responses to your tweets, whatever the case may be, is being shitty, that falls back on you ultimately. You can't monitor everyone, but if you see it, you got to get those people out of your community, or you're allowing it to grow and fester and be a thing. And I've seen streamers who say, oh, I don't know why my community is so toxic. I think XQC said that at one point, and it's like, your whole shtick is to be trolly the whole time. What, like, and you allow people to say whatever they want, and eventually that's going to come full circle. And to not understand that is kind of naive.
No, I totally agree. And I think the question is, like, some of these people are just, they're being led, they're blind sheep, just, being led by, let's just say, their shepherd or whatnot. And I wish people would just take time to think for themselves and be like, wait, that's kind of, I don't agree with what this person's saying right here. And just kind of have that question with yourself, and then be like, maybe I shouldn't be watching this person as much as I should. But yeah, it's just, some blind sheep out there, and hopefully
the blind loyalty is wild. I pride myself on being able to, I will tweet at anybody my opinion. I will comment to anybody on my opinion, and I will let somebody know if I disagree with them. I know not everyone can be like that, but that's just my personal feelings on the matter. If somebody unfollows me because of that, because I tell them like it is, as long as I don't approach them like an asshole, then that tells me a lot about them more so than it does about me, in my opinion. And then I'm not, like, that's not, that's not a follower I lost. That's just somebody I don't want following me anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like that's super important. And too often, these people just allow, you are who you surround yourself with. So if you are surrounded by bad opinions, but you don't have one yourself, that's very telling on who you are. So I know I'm more vocal with this stuff than a lot of people, but I just think that at the end of the day, I'd rather people know where I stand than not.
Yeah. And that's so true. Like you said, if there's a little circle of friends and you're that one person who just hasn't said anything on the matter, you're in that circle. People know you're in this circle. And so they're just gonna, off the bat, just think, oh, you have the same opinion as these people because you haven't spoken out on anything. So that's very important. You got to watch who your circle is. Even in content creation, your circle of friends, who you play with, is super important. So just kind of weigh those options.
And that comes back another time around to the GamerSub stuff with the people defending them. And they were like basically saying, I've never had a problem with this company, so I'm going to stick with them. And sticking with them is fine. Like if they've treated you well and understandable, but coming out in defense of them is almost like calling out the people who are saying they had a bad experience. Like, well, I never did, so what's the truth here? You know what I'm saying? And the fact of the matter is people treat different people differently.
Oh, yeah. It's, I know we're not getting too political, but when you said that, it just brought to mind like people who have always been red or people that have always been blue for generations.
Yeah.
They just will stick up for that party, even though they do something outlandish. And it's just like, can you not see like how dumb are you? Or maybe not dumb, but you're just oblivious to some of these things. Things have changed over the years. Opinions have changed over the years. So it's like, and it's not just GamerSubs. I know we brought up GamerSub, but there's so many other companies that kind of handle things the same way, and it's scary.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's so funny that people will be quick to call others sheep while they're following this blind opinion consistently. You know what I'm saying? Like they're sticking to this one same opinion regardless of the facts, regardless of situations happening and whatever. And again, defending your friends is partially understandable, but you can't discredit somebody else's situation, somebody else's experience, somebody else's past, their present, their future, whatever the case may be. And that's what it oftentimes feels like happens on Twitter. It's like, okay, a situation happens, everyone attacks the one side, then the other group of people jumps in to defend that side and say, no, you're wrong for this reason. And then eventually it all blows over. Most people stop talking about it because you're not going to get as many impressions on Twitter anymore. But those people that are left are like, well, there's a middle ground here. But the people that were up in arms in the beginning, they're all gone. They're not talking about it anymore.
Yeah. Can you imagine how many things could be fixed just with a conversation instead of just throwing stones at each other?
It's crazy.
Man, it's kind of crazy. I don't know.
I say that too. So this happens on social media a lot where folks will just unfollow and ghost you. Right. And they'll never talk to you again. And you'll be like, I thought we were like actually friends. You didn't DM me. You didn't at me. You didn't message me anywhere. And you just unfollowed and just left forever. And I'm like, why couldn't a simple conversation could kind of fix whatever. If I've been a problem to you, I'd like to know that. But the fact that they just completely disappear and stuff without a conversation, that's wild to me. And it's just something I'll never understand.
That is pretty nuts, especially if you've had like a close relationship with that person, like you thought you were friends. I mean, I'm gonna say I've unfollowed people just because I didn't have a relationship. I'm just like,
sure,
okay, I see what you've been posting. It's like I don't even want to see this on my feed anymore. But yeah, if you're friends with the person and you just like, deuces, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, and it does happen in content creation and online. I think people don't have any accountability there. Like if they just up and leave, they don't have to worry about, oh, I'm going to be confronted by this person. They're going to ask me why, and then I have to be like under pressure to explain myself or whatever. But man, social media is a wild place. I definitely, there are parts of it I still don't understand to this day.
It's really crazy. I've tried to stay away, but it's like, being a content creator, you have to, you have to be in there, right? On social media, posting your stuff and getting involved in conversations. That's still something I'm not the greatest in. And so hopefully this year I can, step my game up when it comes to that. But seeing like these people fighting back and forth, that's where I'm like, man, I don't even want to like get in here.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. And it's part of my personality because I do like to debate. I do get involved more often than I should, and maybe that hurts me in the long run with regards to certain people. But overall, I enjoy that like I enjoy streaming. So it's I never hold a grudge. I never have hard feelings towards people, just like I don't when we talk trash when we're gaming. So it's like, for me, it's fine. But some people can't do that, and once you get in a tough conversation with them, that's all it, and it's over for you guys. And it's just the way life goes, I guess.
Yeah. I will say, like, watching you and some of those, conversations you have, because let's be real, you can see everyone's conversations if you're on Twitter or whatnot. And so, you read these stuff. People may not like it, but people are watching. People are looking.
Yeah.
I will say it is nice, even though you're having these conversations or you're trying to have a conversation, that you are, trying to see the other side as well. It's not like my way or the highway.
Yeah, 100%.
It's good that you have an open mind to, like, if they do say something, it's like, oh, okay, well, okay. Like, you can kind of take a step back instead of just like full going, like, I don't care about that. No, this is like, I think you do really well on that.
I appreciate that. And I do think that's important. Like, being able to have that conversation. Your mind might not be completely changed, but if you learn a new piece of information, that's a win. So, but yeah, for those of you who don't know, not only can you see other people's conversations, you can see their likes. You know what I'm saying? So if you're liking a bunch of weird stuff, a bunch of problematic stuff, then people will see that as well. So that's one piece of caution I'd say about social media, is that everything is available to everybody.
Yep. Who you follow.
Yeah.
We see it.
Oh man, there have been times where I've seen some people following. So, I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing here right now? So it's definitely interesting, but I mean, that's their right. That's their business, but
yeah,
don't be surprised when people know about it.
It's also our right to not be affiliated with that. So it works both ways.
Exactly. That's gonna get me on a tangent about cancel culture now, but no, it's just one of those things that I feel like, because of the lack of accountability online, people feel like they're free to do anything with no repercussions, and that's just never going to be the case.
No, I agree.
All right, man. Hey, that was a lot of fun. The hour absolutely flew by. I appreciate
it. It really did.
Anything else you want to talk about before we take off?
Nah, man. I just want to say thank you. I think I put this in like a Twitter post or Discord. I can't remember, but just grateful for like the friendships I made, even though 2020 was like a rough year and we're still, reaping those benefits. We're getting through it.
Yeah.
The friendships I made in 2020 through streaming and just content creation was awesome. So I'm real happy our friendship has come a long way. Excited to game some more with you, talk some trash to each other, and hopefully get you on the basketball pod, man. That'll be
fun. You let me know and I'll be there for sure. So let everyone know once again where to find you. Give us your socials.
Yeah. So again, I stream on Twitch Monday through Friday in the afternoons. That is twitch.tv/JRobles44. And you can also find me on Twitter at JRobles44. And like I said, I'm a variety streamer. I like playing different games and with different people. So, again, thanks for having me, Joe, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I will definitely be linking up with you in the near future. Folks listening at home, thank you so much for tuning in, stopping by, and hanging out. You have all been amazing. The support for the podcast has been mind-blowing. I have enjoyed this so much, getting to know new people, getting to know old friends a bit better. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the writer thoughts. My name is JoPaWrites, and I'll catch you all later.